everybody, welcome back to the Custom Works channel. Today we're going to show you how we went from the stock flimsy little spoiler to this full race inspired piece with a splitter on it. And we're going to kind of go step by step, check it out. If you're not familiar with Custom Works, we do a lot of suspension, brake stuff. We also make the Rally Sport nose. We got a billet grill and everything second gen Camaro. So hop on, let's go for a ride. The first step was to decide how low we wanted this thing. So I used a board and had it kind of floating in space to how low we wanted the spoiler, and then we built the factory spoiler down to meet that board, and that established where we wanted the splitter to be and how much ground clearance we had. Alright, so we got the mock-up almost ready. Thing's gonna be pretty cool. So on the mock-up we used cardboard and foam board to extend the spoiler and shape it to the basic shape we wanted. Then covered it in fiberglass, body worked it like you normally would any other body panel. Primered it, prepped it perfectly, and then we started the mold process from this. First step was to cover it completely with gel coat. Alright, so we got the plug done, and at this point it's been completely blocked and primed and then wet sanded. Now you're gonna see spots where it's been sanded through and stuff, and when you're making a plug, it really doesn't matter. To go and top coat this with something, it's kind of a waste of time. So what I generally like to do is just sand and polish the primer. So this is a high build primer. So the next step here now is to put several coats of mold release wax on this thing, and then we'll put the PVA mold release on it, and then we'll start the actual mold building process from this part. All right, so we got the mold done, and the mold is constructed out of about 4 layers of 1.5 ounce mat, stranded mat, and then it's got 2 layers of this woven bidirectional glass cloth. And I like to use a glass cloth because it actually adds a lot of strength, whereas the mat adds a lot of bulk but not necessarily strength. And also it doesn't leave this stuff doesn't leave a lot of sharp shards on the outside. So anyways, I did it in 2 layups because if you try to do it all in one layup, it adds too much heat as it's curing and you could warp parts. So this thing's ready to be demolded. All right, step 1 to getting the mold off of the plug is to get it off of this board, and it's not mechanically attached or anything, so I'm just gonna try to bust it loose. All right, woohoo! So, mold came off, looks pretty damn good. Let's take a look at it. All right, so we're looking at the inside of the mold cavity. I'm thinking it came out damn near flawless. I'm pretty stoked. So you can see that the plug stayed on the board. It's fully still intact and looks great. So which is actually kind of nice, because if for some reason the mold came out totally messed up, I could really just make a new mold off of what I got sitting here. I was thinking this would all come off at once and I was gonna have to pry the plug out of it, but mold looks great. So I need to come in and trim all the edges and clean it up. This green stuff this is the mold release, and as you can, I don't know if you can see if I can get a piece, but anyways, the mold release comes off. You spray it on the PVA and it comes off like a plastic film, which is really what it is. It's just a sprayable barrier. But the mold surface looks really good. I'm really happy. The mold came out nice. So we got the mold all trimmed up. There's a couple spots that I need to kind of address here, and let's see, there was something else. There's just a couple minor spots I need to kind of smooth out, sand them, polish them out. There's some aren't very clean edges. I don't know how much of the flange the part's gonna need. I'm thinking at least 3/4 of an inch. So I've got over an inch here. This tip, I'm gonna need to flatten it out. And so I'll probably block sand this and polish it all out, make it nice and flat. If you're wondering how thick to make a mold, so here's the mold, okay, where I trimmed it. And it's, you know, 1/4 of an inch, you know. So you gotta remember to make the mold needs to be more sturdy than the part. You know, like I said, I used roughly 5 layers of fiberglass on the mold, which on the part, you know, you'd probably use 3. And for all my trimming, I use an Ingersoll Rand body saw. These things work great. They're really controllable. They cut well, a little slow, but anyways, next thing we're gonna do is do a layup and hopefully get a part soon. So laying up the spoiler was similar to making the mold itself. Did the mold wax, the mold release, gel coat, did 2 layers of the stranded mat and a layer of the woven fiberglass cloth. So getting ready to demold this thing. And so that came out of the mold quite easy. So I used these wedges to kind of break the seal, and it popped out. So what I'm gonna do now is I'll go through with my air saw and I will trim. If I can find the air saw, I'll trim all the edges and get it cleaned up, and then I will give it a rinse and we'll get the mold release taken off of it and see kind of what the finished product looks like. All right, so we got this thing all trimmed and all the edges done. Like I said, I use an air saw with a fairly fine tooth, actually a fairly coarse tooth blade. I don't remember how many, 18, 20 tooth per inches. And then I usually use a sander and finish the edges. All right, so we got this thing clamped in place on the car, and I think the fit is looking pretty good. So this will be a little bit tighter once it's bolted up, but you gotta think this lower valance is you know, pretty much original to this car, and it's been beat for years and whatnot. And this gap will tighten up a little bit, but I think it looks good. Let's see what it looks like on the ground. So we got the spoiler painted hot rod black, and we've got about 5 inches of ground clearance under it, and I think it looks great. All right, so my bad. I really wasn't, just in my haste of trying to get things done. I made a front lip. So I made a template, fit it all on the car, and then I used the template and a laminate trim router to make this lip That'll go on the front, and this will be the splitter lip. So anyways, this isn't really a final product. I really don't like the sharp edge on it. I mean, if you walk up on this thing, it's like razor blades. And, you know, I don't want that slicing people's shin. So I'm going to come up with something else. But for the meantime, I think this will be fine for, you know, the first track use and whatnot. So we've got the spoiler and the splitter lip on the car. I think it looks pretty good. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So we will probably be making these. The biggest issue is shipping these things because they are quite large. And pricing as of now, I think these things are probably going to be somewhere in the $850, $900 range, depending on the splitter lip. So anyways, you can contact us at Custom Works Performance if you like. And also, this thing seemed to pass the trailer test, so ground clearance seems to be sufficient. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.